I hope everyone had a good New Year day. Hope God bless you, gave you enlightenment on things to come, and reflect on the year past. You know, I get excited when it comes to New Year because it's getting close to W-2s. People start wanting that cash refund from the government. To me, that's a happy time. But what if God?
You done been checking, ain't you?
Oh yeah, you start looking at your last paycheck for the year and how much you made. And I said, now everybody can, if you're working, you know exactly how much you paid, how much you got back on that last paycheck for the year.
You're right, Toby.
I know what I did last year, the year before that, so you run it through your head how much, but how should we use that with our faith? What if God gave us a W-2? What if He showed you how much have you worked for me this year, and if He was going to give you a reward, how much reward would you get back?
I know Him back taxes for sure.
By far, I'd still be paying on years before.
Yeah.
I'd be in one of those. I'd be calling that number. Are you in trouble? Because I couldn't pay. But that's how we should look at a new year. Like, what can I do? Look at my past year, and analyze ourselves. What did I do for Him? What did He do for me? Next year, maybe I can do one more thing. Maybe I can step out and be more bold, be more prosperous. Did I lead somebody to Jesus? Did I tell somebody about Jesus? Did I? It's something, and I know that even me, I know we're all like it, because we can never pay Him back for what He's done for us. Never. But we can always do something.
Come on, Toby.
And our lesson today is titled, A Bride Worth Waiting For. It's found in Genesis 29, 15 through 30. And I'll give you some prerequisite of what has happened before this. We are picking up in verse 15. Here you have Jacob, and for some of us, we know, some of us know the story, but some of us might not, or may need reminded.
Come on, Toby.
But Jacob is the son of Isaac, and his brother was Esau. Well, Jacob deceived his brother twice. One for his birthright and one for his blessing. And if you recollect, he put fur on his arms, and he fixed venison for his father, and he prepared it to let his father give him that blessing that was supposed to go to his older brother. Because by the traditions, it was supposed to go to the older son. But he tricked with the help of his mother. Well, after it was all said and done, Esau was upset, and Esau made a comment that, Dad's not in the best shape. When Dad passes away, I'll take care of Jacob. He's going to kill him. And he said, I'll take it all back. But his mother got wind of it and sent him off. She went to Isaac and told him, we need to get him out of here, because Esau will kill him. So they sent him toward the territory of her brothers. And on that way, he fell asleep, and God showed him that he was in God's favor and that He had a plan for him. And He gave him the vision or the dream of Jacob's ladder, and how he saw angels ascending and descending, and saw God at the top. Well, he made his way into her brother's land. And he was sojourning, and he was just on his way. So this is where the story is picking up. And right before this, there was a well, and there was a stone on top of a well, and they put that stone on top of the well so nobody, when they brought the cattle in, they moved the stone, and you would get well. And there at that well, he met a woman, and it was the prettiest woman he ever saw. And her name was Rachel. Well, he asked the people that was around the well, "Do you know Laban?" They said, "Yeah." And he said, "Is he well?" And he said, "Yeah." And so they told him where Laban lived, and then, then he saw Rachel, and she took him to Laban. And Laban is his uncle. And it says, "And Laban said unto Jacob, Because thou art my brother, shouldest thou therefore serve me for naught? Tell me, what shall thy wages be?" He said, "Since we're kin, since you're my nephew," and he said, "you're going to be here." He said, "I'm not going to let you work for free, so what's your wages?" And Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. He'd already met Rachel. Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored. Tender-eyed didn't mean, easy on the eyes. It means weak, lack of brilliance. The eyes could have been pale and not striking, because in that time period, striking guys, dark and bright striking guys, was really favored in that time period. And apparently Rachel had it, and she had everything else, because he liked Rachel. As the Bible tells us, she was beautiful. And Jacob loved Rachel. He'd been there for a month. So in that month, he sat there and he's watched Rachel all this time. And Jacob loved Rachel and said, "I will serve these 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter." And Laban said, "It is better that I give her to thee than that I should give her to another man. Abide with me." He says, "I'd rather give her to you than somebody else." And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days for the love he had to her. Now, when you want something, and you have to work for it, and it's so desirable in your heart, it don't matter what you got to do. It's not work to you, because there's a reward at the end. How many times have you done a job knowing that once I get paid or once I do this, this is for me, this is mine. I'm going to receive this. So working for the 7 years, it was like days for him, because he knew the prize was worth it at the end, that he was going to get Rachel as his bride. And Jacob said unto Laban, "Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her." So he had it marked. He counted those days, and Laban said, "Well, it is payday." And it says, "And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to him, and he went into her." So he tricked. He deceived Jacob. Instead of Rachel, the youngest, he gave him Leah, the one that's pretty. And it says, "And Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah his maid for a handmaid. And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah, and he said to Laban, What is this thou hast done unto me? Did not I serve with thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me?" And Laban said, it must not be done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. So here Jacob is upset. Here he was. He married the wrong girl. He woke up the next morning. She probably had a heavy veil, and then the tent was, they said, was black. So he didn't know till the morning light came in that he married or was with the wrong daughter. And he was upset. He went to Laban. But if you were so upset, you had a contractual thing, the Bible, as we read it here, he didn't argue with Laban to them. They had a contract. It was a binding contract between two men, and your word was your word. Laban said, well, it's our custom here in the East that you can't marry the younger until the oldest marries first. I bet God slapped Jacob right in the face. Even though I have favored you and I have showed you, does this not bring back memories of what you've done?
Yeah.
Same scenario, same, the oldest and the youngest. Oldest gets the birthright. Oldest had the blessing, but Jacob stole it. He lied to his brother. He lied to his father to get that birthright and that blessing.
You're right, Toby.
Now he turns around and Laban reversed and Laban didn't have no idea that Jacob had done that. He knew that Jacob had a birthright.
Yeah.
He did know that. And that's one reason why he probably thought, I have no quarrels on giving you one of my girls, because at that time, Laban had no sons. He had nobody to give his possessions to. So he thought, if I can add my possessions to Jacob's inheritance, then my descendants will be a strong family, will be a rich family. And then here he looks, and then I just imagine the concept that Jacob, I've reaped what I sowed.
Right.
I've done this, and I'm getting it back. So, he's getting it, and he said, now he don't have his reward. Now he feels the same way that his brother felt. Everything that was supposed to be given to him has been taken away. Now, he was supposed to marry this beautiful girl, and now he's with the not so favored older sister. So Laban looked at him and said, fulfill her week. The ceremony lasted 7 days, the feast. And we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. So he told him, you get through this week. At the end of the week, you'll fulfill your duty. And he said, I'll let you marry Rachel. But then after you marry her, you got to work 7 more years. And Jacob did so and fulfilled her week. And he gave him Rachel, his daughter, to wife also. I bet that next 7 years didn't go as quick, because he already had not one but 2 wives. And now he has to work 7 more years. There was no reward at the end of this 7. He's already got her. And then, we've all been married. It don't matter how pretty they are. They can prick you just the same as there's no fantasy. You know her. At the end of that 7 years, you know her weaknesses, her strengths, her moods. You know her. And you're sitting there, and Jacob's sitting there, and she's not even paid for it. Not even paid for it. So now, he's worked 14 years.
Yep.
And and at the same time, Jacob had to be patient. I mean, there's so many little lessons in this lesson. I was a little torn about what direction I was going to. The lesson title says "A Bride Worth Waiting For," and my heart's saying, you reap what you sow. But then, if you look at it from the patience side of it, sometimes we're dealt a hand in life that, we're doing what God has us to do and going the direction, and we're thinking we're doing good, and all of a sudden, turmoil, something hits us. Instead of saying, I give up, we must be patient and give him the strength and give him the glory and keep pressing onward. And that's what Jacob did. He could have said, nope, I'm out of here. But he said, but he loved her. And if we love Jesus, we keep pressing on. Even though it was he took 2 steps back, he kept pressing on because there was a reward to have. And there's a reward for us. We've got heaven to gain and nothing to lose. You keep pressing forward, no matter what the devil or what this world puts in front of you. You might think 7 years, and then you get to that 7 years and the world puts another 7 on you. You keep pressing onward. You don't give up. You keep the pace, stay your course like Paul tells us, and finish your race. Because the world's going to keep putting you in a predicament with these 7 years.
Yeah.
And if you ever read this story and read on, you'll know real quick that Jacob's life wasn't hunky-dory. Because not only did he, and Lebanon gave Rachel his daughter, Bilhah, his handmaid, to be her maid. And he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet 7 other years. So Laban gave him 2 daughters and 2 handmaids, in which he all had kids with all 4 wives, all 4 women. And if you look at it, there was 12 children that came from these 4 women, which made up the 12 tribes of Israel. And you see how, in a bigger picture, how God is working. Because, when it came down to the Mosaic law, then they started putting it to where, you can only have 1 wife. But God made it, and he put all this in line, and from one man, from Abraham on down, was going to be the 12 tribes of Israel. But, with these 4 women, it wasn't, like I said, hunky-dory. Because Leah always felt like she had to measure up because they hated her. She was the one I worked for and I didn't get. She wasn't real pretty. Rachel was my favorite. Then God turned around, and what does God do? He makes Rachel barren and blesses Leah. Yeah. Leah was spitting out boys hand over fist for him. And that was a blessing. And that was, and God was blessing her. She might not have been the favorite or the apple of Jacob's eye, but they were mean to her. And God was blessing her. And that's how God can bless us. We got to be about our Father's business. And we got to let him. And all this time you never heard Jacob once pray to God and ask him, is this the way to go? He never asked God, is this the one I marry? Or is this the direction I go? Sometimes, he was just going through the motions. Sometimes we got to look and lean on God for our direction because he can keep us out from a lot worse scenarios than what we started out in. Mm-hmm. But in closing, we look at Jacob and in this little story, and that we should have patience and wait for God, and that what we do sow, we will reap. And that and no matter what happens in our life and what we go through, God is in control.
That's right, buddy.
And that He loves us. And that we might go through certain situations. You know, Jacob didn't have no plans on working. No more. He didn't have no plans on working 14, but he did have plans on working that 7. But sometimes we have these hardships that we go through and that we endure. That at the end we are blessed, because Jacob had no idea at that time that from his seed the 12 tribes of Israel would be formed. And just like when we go through certain things in our life, you don't know what kind of blessing that you're going to bestow on you, on your kids, or their kids, or the community that you live in, on what you can do that will affect the greater outcome. Because God can take something or nothing and make it into something.
Bless you, Toby.
Bless you, Toby.